Tulsi Gabbard weighed in on the Haitian, I don't know how to speak, Haitian migrant / refugee crisis, and boy, was this a swing and a miss. So here's what she said. She tweeted at both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The humanitarian and national security crisis on the southern border is the direct result of your open border policy. As I said in my 2020 presidential campaign, we can't have a secure nation if we don't secure our borders. So she says Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have, and I quote, an open border policy. Tulsi, that is just 100% factually incorrect. That's not a viable opinion. That's simply misinformed or ignorant. So let me tell you what the reality is. President Biden is using something called Title 42 to expel asylum seekers without their right to a hearing. So he's violating international law. This is something President Trump invoked. And the reason they said is we have a pandemic, there's COVID-19, we don't have time for due process or hearings, deport, deport, deport. So let me explain to you just how Trumpy Joe Biden is being with this current policy. In Trump's entire time in office, you know how many people he deported using Title 42? No hearing, no due process. They came in the country illegally. He said, gone, immediately deported them. 440,000 people were deported under Trump. No hearing, no nothing, gone. Under Biden, how many? Now remember, Biden's been in office a much shorter time than Trump. Trump had all 4 years. Biden hasn't been in for nearly 4 years so far. Biden has already deported 690,000 people under Title 42. So not only does Biden not have open borders, Biden is more Trumpy than Trump on issues of immigration. In fact, Biden, when he was vice president under Obama, they broke the deportation record. Obama was called the deporter in chief. So what are you talking about when you say, oh, Biden has an open border policy and Kamala Harris has an open border policy? If anything, there are some legitimate criticisms of them from the left saying you're way too harsh on issues of immigration and refugees. So, I mean, that makes absolutely no sense at all what she's saying here. And it is simply keep it real. What she's saying is simply a right-wing message. Now, don't get it twisted. Are there criticisms you can make of the left, broadly speaking? So putting Biden aside, yeah, of course you can criticize. You can criticize Biden on this, but you have to be accurate in your criticism. And you can criticize the left, because I do think that there are some on the left who effectively advocate for open borders, even though they don't take the mantle of open borders, because when they say 100% of the people who come in are refugees, and therefore they have a right to stay, they're effectively saying we should kind of open the border. Now, if you want to go after the left and people who actually advocate that and say, well, I disagree with that, okay, fair enough. But do that. She didn't do that. She went after Biden for something he explicitly is not doing. He's demonstrably not doing the thing that she's saying he's doing. So what are you talking about? Unbelievable. So let me read you. There's one more from her. She says this. The Biden-Harris open door policy has been a disaster. Open door policy? If people come in and they've already deported 690,000 people, what more do you want? Well, deport as many as you can. They're literally doing that right now because a court ruled Title 42 is illegal and they can't do it anymore, but there's a time frame, so they have like a week or two more to deport people. The planes are leaving every day. I mean, this is routinely happening. They're still deporting as many as possible. They're doing exactly what Tulsi Gabbard wants. And she's still criticizing. Oh, it's an open door policy. Well, quite an open door to kick you right out. I guess it's open both directions. It's open for them to come in and it's open for them to walk right out. She says, it needs to end now. The main beneficiaries of open borders are the gangs, cartels, and human traffickers. The Trump policy of having people wait on the other side of the border worked and needs to be reinstated. It worked. So that's her big beef is instead of having people under a bridge in Del Rio, have them under a bridge on the other side of the border in Mexico, because then it's not our problem and we should wash our hands of it. Is that a solution to you? That's a solution. Now, by the way, again, effectively, the same policy is being implemented because they're deported immediately no matter what. But that's your answer? Now, by the way, she brings up cartels and gangs. and doesn't say anything about, well, the real issue is, let's get to the root cause of the problem here. What's the root cause? Well, the drug war for many immigrants and refugees. Now, in the case of Haiti, it's a little different, of course, because in Haiti you had multiple natural disasters, you had an earthquake, you had a coup, and so it is slightly different in the case of Haiti. But for a lot of the immigrants and refugees who come here, it's directly because of the drug war. It's directly because of the cartel violence. Honduras was more dangerous than Iraq at the height of the Iraq war. So really, we need to legalize, tax, and regulate drugs to put the cartels out of business, and then those places would become a lot safer, and people wouldn't want to leave everything they've ever known and their hometowns. Now, would they? So if you're not talking about the root problems, I don't know why you're talking about immigration. So again, the root problem is we do a zillion coups. Let's stop doing coups. Try that, thing number one. Let's end the drug war, legalize, tax, and regulate drugs. And let's also address climate change, because a lot of the people who are coming here are climate refugees as well. Again, there was a place in South America that was walloped by 2 hurricanes, and then that led to a lot of immigrants and refugees coming here. So let's address climate change so we don't have as many extreme weather events as we're currently on pace to have and are currently having. So if people are talking about this and they're not talking about the root causes, they're being disingenuous. And the other thing is, the only answer I really have is you need to have more immigration judges and send more resources to the border to process these people faster. But certainly, deporting everybody immediately is not an answer. Letting everybody in, no questions asked, is not an answer. But what's for shit sure is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not leaving our border open. They don't have an open border policy. If anything, they're out-trumping Trump on this issue. So, Tulsi, I don't know what you're saying, I don't know what you're doing, but I'll tell you this. It's not accurate and it's not good.